Hare Krishna everyone. This morning we'll be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 17, entitled The Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. We're going to start from text 21 and go all the way to the end of the chapter, text 28. And our focus verse is text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we read the translations first. Is that how we're going to do it? Yeah. Would anyone like to start reading them? I can. Chapter 17, Canto 8, text 21.
Shukadeva Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband.
Being suited in a meditational trance, Kasyapa Muni, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a planetary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered within him.
Text 23. O king, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus gave rise to fire, Kasyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi.
When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayers to the Lord by reciting transcendental names.
Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you, who are glorified by all, and whose activities are all uncommon. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, O Lord of the Transcendentalists, controller of all three modes of nature. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again.
Text 26. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the all-pervading Lord Vishnu, who have entered the cores of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel, yet you are above the three worlds. Formerly you appeared as the son of Prishni. To you, the Supreme Creator, who are understood only through Vedic knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances.
O my Lord, you are the beginning, the manifestation, and the ultimate dissolution of the three worlds, and you are celebrated in the Vedas as the reservoir of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Person. O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves that have fallen into deep water, you, the Supreme Eternal Time Factor, attract everything in this universe.
My Lord, you are the original generator of all living entities, stationary or moving, and you are also the generator of the Prajapatis. O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the demigods who are now bereft of their heavenly position.
Okay, now we'll come back to text number 23. That's the focus verse. So Sa adityanam viryam adhata tapasa chira sambritam samhita manarajan dharuni agnim yatanilaha sa adityam viryam adhata tapasa chira sambritam samhita manarajan dharuni agnim yatanilaha sadityam viryam adatha tapasa chira sambritam samhita manarajan dharuni agnim yatanilaha. Would anyone like to chant? Sadityam viryam adatha tapasa chira samritam samahita manarajan darunagnim yatanilaha sadityam viryam adhata tapasa chira samritam samahita manarajan darunyagnim yatanilaha. Sadityam viryam adatha tapasa chira samritam samahita manarajan darunyam agnim yatanilaha. So we'll do the word for word together. Sa Kashyapa Adityam unto Aditi Viryam semen Adatha placed Tapasa by austerity Chira Sambritam restrained for long years Samahita Manaha being fully in trance upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead Rajan, O King, Dharuni as in firewood, Agnim fire, Yata as, Anilaha wind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus gives rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi. Purport. A forest fire begins when two pieces of wood rub against one another, being agitated by the wind. Actually, however, fire belongs neither to the wood nor to the wind. It is always different from both. Similarly, here it is to be understood that the union of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi was not like the sexual intercourse of ordinary human beings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the human secretions of sexual intercourse. He is always completely aloof from such material combinations. Anyone else would like to read the next paragraph?
Krishna. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham sarvabhuteshu, I am equal towards all living entities. Nonetheless, to protect the devotees and kill the demons who were a disturbing element, the Lord entered the womb of Aditi. Therefore, this is a transcendental pastime of the Lord. This should not be misunderstood. One should not think that the Lord became the son of Aditi the way an ordinary child is born because of sexual intercourse between man and woman.
Here, it may also be appropriate to explain, in these days of controversy, the origin of life. The life force of the living entity, the soul, is different from the ovum and semen of the human being. Although the conditioned soul has nothing to do with the reproductive cell of man and woman, he is placed into the proper situation because of his work. Life is not, however, a product of two secretions, but is independent of all material elements. As fully described in Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is not subject to any material reactions. He can neither be burned by fire, cut by sharp weapons, moistened by water, nor dried by the air. He is completely different from the physical elements, but by a superior arrangement, he is put into these material elements. He is always aloof from material contact, but because he is placed in a material condition, he suffers the reactions of material modes of nature.
Purusha praktirstaho hi bhunti prakritijan gunanan karmanam guna sangosya sadasya yoni janmasu. The living entity, immaterial nature, this follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with material nature. This he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Although the living entity is aloof from the material elements, he is put into material conditions, and thus he must suffer the reactions of material activities.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So here, this text 23, the first point that comes to mind is, like how the appearance of Lord Vamanadev is not like an appearance of an ordinary child. Actually, it is mentioned here how Lord Vamanadev first entered into the mind of Kashyapa Muni, and then so the Lord actually then appeared in the womb of Aditi. One point here that may be raised is, what was the necessity for Kashyapa Muni and Aditi to have a union, So I wanted to actually ask the assembled Vaishnavas if they had any thoughts on why that is being mentioned. I have a small realization. Can someone get the microphone to Drishta Dinna, please?
I'm just speculating or guessing, but perhaps in order to confirm that the Lord is her son, they had union. Otherwise, it would seem that the Lord just appeared out of nowhere. Kind of like Nrsingadev just appears. So they were asking for him to come as their son.
Correct me if assembled Vaishnavas, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking like Aditi, she's the mother of the demigods, right? So the demigods are generally Kama Mishra, bhaktas or devotees. So would that be one of the reasons why she had that desire to have a son through her husband? Maybe that's what came to my mind. But on the other hand, when we see in the case of Vasudeva and Devaki, when Krishna appeared, it is mentioned that how Lord Krishna first entered the heart of Vasudeva, and then from her heart Krishna was transferred to the heart of Devaki, and then Krishna entered into her womb. So my understanding was Vasudeva and Devaki are on a much higher level compared to Aditi. That's what I was thinking. Would anyone like to correct me if that's not the correct understanding, or? Nandabraja Prabhu is making a point here.
I don't think you're wrong, but one thing that I would like to add, or that I was thinking was, Kassapa Muni is a pure devotee, and so the Lord is entering into the pure devotee, and that pure devotee is giving the next person, his disciple, which Aditi is surrendered to him. He's giving her the Lord. Maybe? Yes?
Okay. Okay, then continuing on. So here in this purport also Srila Prabhupada says that so in these days of controversy, the origin of life, there's a beautiful book that Srila Prabhupada has written, Life Comes from Life, which actually refutes Darwin's theory that life comes from matter. So that's a nice book for us to read if you have not read, especially someone who has this scientific inclination to understand Krishna consciousness. Then I was actually listening to a couple of classes given on these series of verses. One was by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. So Maharaj was actually mentioning, so I'm just trying to repeat what I heard. So here in these, in this chapter or the verses prior to this section of verses, Aditi actually, she, when she had darshan of the Supreme Lord, she exhibited transcendental symptoms of, like she could not initially even speak. Her voice was choked up, and then slowly she began to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. So in the same way for us, as practicing devotees, when we come in front of Radha Kalachandji, we should be seeing the deities not as just metal or stone or wood, but they're actually non-different from Krishna. Krishna is standing here, Radharani is standing here. But how is that possible? We are sadhakas, we're practicing devotees. So that is only possible when we practice our sadhana bhakti very nicely. Then, the causeless mercy of the Lord will be there, and then that's possible. Even in our conditioned stage of life, Krishna gives us small increments of mercy. Like for example, you're serving the deities or dressing them. There'll be those moments where you feel, oh wow, this is amazing. Or when you go on Harinam, you get that little bit of taste for the holy name, oh wow. Like once I heard one devotee, he was saying like, okay, this was the day of Gaur Purnim. He woke up for Mangalarti. Then at lunchtime, all the devotees went on Harinam. Then he came back in the evening, had a really wonderful Gaur Purnim festival, Abhishek. Then again there was another Harinam, and then he did books. But this is all there is, if my life was like this every day, that's it. What else we need, So the point I'm trying to make here is, when we follow our Krishna consciousness, follow the 4 regulative principles, chant our 16 rounds nicely, then we are actually making progress. And and then eventually, we'll get to the stage where like how Aditi got those transcendental symptoms. We will get the goal, we'll achieve the goal of life, which is love of Godhead. The other point that Maharaj was making is how do we approach the deities? We should not approach the deities like how when Krishna was personally present, how Duryodhana approached. That's not the way we need to approach. But our approach should be like the Pandavas. And even after practicing Krishna consciousness for maybe many years or many lifetimes, we have to keep Lord Chaitanya's instruction. The fourth verse, where Lord Chaitanya says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvari bhavatat bhaktir ahoituki tvai. The last part of this verse is, I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. So we are ready to wait for that. And in this pastime, it is said that a little background of actually how we came to this pastime was, Bali Maharaj, he actually conquered the demons. It is said that Bali Maharaj, they all live in the lower planetary systems, and they are also the sons of Kashyapa Muni. So are the demigods. So Bali Maharaj was like, why should the demigods enjoy this? Why not us? So that's when they fought over the demigods and won the heavenly planets. And then when Bali Maharaj came and he asked just for 3 steps of land, we know how in the previous ages these kings, when they did any sacrifices, they would pretty much give everything away in charity. So Bali Maharaj asked Vamandev, we heard that, right? Why only 3 steps of land? And then we know the answer, how Vamandev replied, we just need 3 steps of land to just lie down. If you have 3 steps of land, whatever, 3 steps by 3 steps, that's all we need to take rest. And Bali Maharaj was surprised. But Sukracharya knew, no, there is something here that's not normal. And he could understand that Lord Vamanadev is none other than Vishnu. And then what Shukracharya did is, this is the first time I heard this yesterday, that he actually entered into that pot. Like before Bali Maharaj was supposed to give charity, he had to do Achman. And so Shukracharya, he entered into the spout of that pot, and the water was not coming out. And Bali Maharaj was trying to sip Achman and then give the charity. So Lord Vamanadev said, let me look at that pot. And then he took a kusha grass and he just poked the spout. And that's how Sukracharya became blind in one eye. And then he started screaming and he came out of the pot. And we may try to understand why Lord Vamanadev did this, It is said that the Guru is supposed to actually help the disciple to surrender to Krishna. And Shukracharya was actually not doing that. He was in fact objecting Bali Maharaj from giving charity. What to speak of what he did was... So the Lord, he wanted to teach the proper lesson so that, not only Bali Maharaj, even for people like us, we can actually understand that the purpose of having a spiritual master is to surrender to Krishna. And coming back to, how can we actually develop love of God? Is it only by our endeavor? What do you all think? Just throwing out this question to all of you. Because this is supposed to be like a discussion class, so I'm trying to follow that. Ashwini Kumar Prabhu is saying Guru's mercy. Anyone else like to add to that? Mother Anuradha is saying Krishna's mercy. Okay, what I heard is, I will try to repeat. So according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Bhaktilata Bij is not a product of one's own activity, but it is the mercy of both Guru and Krishna. So therefore, it's said, like by the mercy of Guru one gets Krishna, and then, or the other way around, by the mercy of Krishna one gets a Guru, and then by the mercy, once we surrender and make our lives perfect, by the mercy of Guru we get Krishna. So this process is like, we begin as devotees who are practicing, and then we get the seed of devotion. So we need to so for that seed to actually fructify, there are like, it's a process, right? We need to water that seed by like a proper chanting and hearing, and then it is said that once that seed actually gets nourishment in the form of chanting and hearing, then what I heard was 2 small leaves develop. The seed, actually a small seedling comes out, and 2 small leaves develop. So one of that leaf is Klesha Dagni, and the other leaf is Shubhada. So Klesha Dagni is the one which actually removes all our sufferings, and Shubhada brings all auspiciousness. So then we again continue chanting, hearing, following the process, and then slowly the creeper grows and grows, and a small flower comes out, and it is said that that flower actually represents the bhava stage. And then we continue in our Krishna consciousness, and slowly but surely, after sincere practice, the love of Godhead, which is the fruit, actually develops. And what Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj was saying is, all this is from Maharaj's class, I'm just repeating, just try to clarify. So Maharaj was mentioning how Srila Prabhupada has so mercifully established this ISKCON movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. All we have to do is just live in this movement. Just never leave this movement. Just stay in this movement. We live in this movement and we die in this movement. Maharaj was mentioning there have been so many devotees who somehow slipped away from the practice of Krishna consciousness, but mercifully by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, at the end of their life they came back, and they actually practiced their Krishna consciousness in such a way that they went back. Maharaj was mentioning they went back to Godhead. So what to speak of one who actually stays in the movement in spite of whatever challenges we have to go through. Challenges within the devotees, challenges from outside, and even we know Srila Prabhupada's famous comment, your love for me will be shown by how you will cooperate with each other once I am no more, once I leave this material world. These were a few points I thought I will share. I was thinking I should focus on 23, but I got a little bit attracted to 20, listening to the other lectures also. So I thought I'll go in this direction. But if anyone would like to say more about text 23, or any other points, there's a lot of verses here, almost 8 verses, so I'm opening it for discussion. So anyone would like to make any points? No? Yes? No? Vishwa Bhagavan Prabhu is here. Would you like to say anything, Prabhu? Yeah, this is supposed to be a discussion format, so I'm just trying to adhere to that format. Otherwise, I have more content, I can speak a little more. Yes, Mother Kunti. Text 23. Text 23. So text 23 is, O King, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus gives rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi. This was what was supposed to be meant to focus on, but I went ahead and spoke from what I heard from lectures of senior devotees. Mother Prabhupada Priya wants to say something.
Hare Krishna. I thought one thing that was interesting here in this section is how the devotees become aware of the Lord's presence. Right? Like Kashyapa Muni had said that he was in meditation and then he became aware of the fact that the Lord had entered within his body and that now was the time that he was going to be able to, basically pass the Lord on to Aditi, from whom she would take birth. And then now that the Lord is within the womb of Aditi, then it says that Lord Brahma understood that the Lord was there in the womb, and so he came and he started offering prayers. I just thought it was interesting how both Kashyapa and Brahma had mentioned that they became aware of the Lord's presence in some unusual situation, right? So I feel like that's the characteristic of an advanced devotee, is that you can actually perceive the Lord's presence. You can see the presence of the Lord in the deity, you feel the Lord's presence within the holy name. And also when things happen in life, you feel that the Lord is present, that's happening by the will of the Lord. It's Krishna's arrangement. The Lord has his hand there somehow. So it's something that we can try to perceive, and pray to the Lord to perceive his presence, even if it's in a strange place. Yeah.
I was appreciating this point, and I was thinking about, you're so right that the pure devotee can see the presence of the Lord. And I was thinking too that there's some times where the Lord makes his presence so abrupt that you can't deny it. For instance, when Devaki, the Lord enters Devaki's womb, Kamsa can see that she's so bright. There's a light in her that he's never seen before, and he knows, right? He knows. He says, "This is my death." So the Lord is there, so that presence of the Lord really can make us shine, right, and be bright.
Mother Kunti.
You were commenting or sharing that we live in this movement and we die in this movement, but actually the material body, right, is the only thing that dies. We just keep living. And in fact, this is the life, right? So we're chanting Hare Krishna, but then we're going to go and chant Hare Krishna. So we're going to keep chanting and keep serving, and right? So it's
yes, Mother Kunti, yeah.
It's actually bringing us to life.
Yeah, it's in one sense the activities that we perform, like singing for the deities, singing in kirtan, or cooking for the deities, dressing the deities. These are all activities in the spiritual world. So we're getting trained up here. So, yeah. Anyone else would like to make any other points? Nitai Kanda Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. It's more of question than comment. You talked about like all the process, how you put the seed and then the two leaves comes and eventually become the flower and then the fruit ultimately. So I was just reflecting, like how do we compare the prema and service to the Lord? Because there may be scenarios or devotees who are relishing the service to the Lord more than, indirect service to the Lord than the direct service or a prema bhav. If I may give example, like you may be cooking in the Sunday feast, that is your service, and you are relishing, and you may not have any desire or spend time 3 hours in the kirtan. You just come, take darshan, and then you want to just cook, or maybe like do the book distribution. So, yeah, if you want to comment on it, yeah.
So, if I understand your question, are you saying when you're serving, are you relishing?
That's what I'm trying to say. The prema stage, how do we reach that stage if someone is not really attached to the deities? Let me put that way.
Each of us has our own interest in Krishna consciousness. Someone like to dress for the deities, some like to cook, some like to do sankirtan, some like to just sweep the floor. Service is absolute, right? So devotional service is absolute. So you do what you like, and then slowly, I think we'll make progress. It's not that just by doing service we are going to achieve prema, It's a process, right? We have so many anarthas, and slowly it's a gradual process. For most people, I think it's a gradual process. For someone who has already done a lot in their previous life, that's a different story. But otherwise, I think we have to be very careful also, in this process, there's so many weeds that grow, like our anarthas, lust, envy, greed, pride, anger. Even lust could be subtle, for profit, adoration, fame. Oh, I want this fame after doing this big festival. So we have to be very careful. That's where, we have to take guidance from senior devotees who can actually help us move in the right direction. Then eventually, we will get there.
Thank you, Prabhu. But the thing is, even when we hear from senior devotees, service is more important. You should focus more on service than anything else. And then the other side also, senior devotees says, no, you should focus more on your sadhana bhakti, not compromise versus service. So you're hearing from the senior only.
We have to take the guidance of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave that statement, right? The priority is health, sadhana, and then service. So, then there are always emergency situations. You have to serve. You can't say, oh, no, I'm going to sit and chant my rounds, Prabhu. Let the Janmashtami festival happen, however it happens. Or let this festival. Also, we have to organize our life in such a way that, you can see like any senior devotees, they give so much importance to the morning program. It is said if you finish your chanting in the morning, then it looks like your day is expanded. So if we do that, and we have such a wonderful opportunity, we live close to the temple. Like every day there are at least 15 devotees who come for Mangalarti. Maybe we may not be able to come for Mangalarti, we can at least come for chanting if we have other responsibilities. And I heard once Srila Gurudev say that, no, your next day program begins the previous night. If you go to bed early, then you can wake up early. So we have to organize our life in such a way that, and if you, for most of us who have IT jobs, I feel, we should also be mindful of how much stress we are taking at work. Sometimes, unfortunately, we see devotees, they have these really high, unrealistic goals in their career. That will affect us. We have to be careful about that. Careful. Otherwise, if you focus too much on your material side, then your spiritual side will get affected. So you have to keep the right balance. These are some few thoughts, bro.
Thank you.
Gokulananda Prabhu, could you give the microphone, Nityakaruna Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. Because you are situated right now on the mental platform and there is duality in this world, so there are likes and dislikes. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? You have to transcend this duality. So we are affected by the material modes constantly, and also we are situated on the mental platform. I remember once one senior devotee mentioned that in this moment there will be some services which we may not like. But that would be one extreme, one end of extreme, where I don't like it, but because I've been hearing how service is purifying, so I'll just keep doing it, no matter what. So that is one extreme. That will make us dry. And we won't be able to relish. It will be like, as Prabhupada says, licking the bottle of honey from outside, right? So we are not able to relish. And the other end of the extreme is that I will simply do what I like to do. Like, I can talk about myself. So I like to do kirtan, so I'll just do kirtan. So that will make us sajya, kind of. So it is advisable to strike a balance between the two, not to go to any extreme. That is just thought.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice point.
I was really appreciating your point of Tamal Krishna Goswami saying that the next day begins the night before. And I was thinking about how we hear the acharyas talk about sleep as death, right? And we understand in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says that our state of being at the time of death takes us to our next body. And so I was kind of putting together like, we can think of at the night before we go to sleep, like, I'm going to go, this is kind of like death. And so let me, have the right state of being before I, enter in this phase and then get up in the morning. And so if we, in each tradition, you hear so much about praying before you go to sleep, And so I was thinking that, and then Mother Kunti was saying that we just continue our activities, right? When we go to our next body. And so we're going to continue to chant and stuff like that. So it's putting those two things together, like, the night before, really have some nice sadhana even before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, you got a better Sankirtan body. Hare Krishna.
Mother Prabhupada Priya.
Hare Krishna. I was looking at the last two verses of this section where Brahma's offering his prayers, and he uses two really sweet little analogies or similes. He's praising the Lord. So in text 27 he says, "O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves that have fallen deep into the water, into the deep water, you, the supreme eternal time factor, attract everything in this universe." So I was thinking about how, time is this energy of the Lord, which stirs things up, it kind of like activates and makes things move and makes things happen. And so Krishna in his time factor, he makes things happen in our lives in such a way that it brings us, we're like sunk down in the bottom of the lake, like just dead leaves rotting on the bottom of the lake. And then the time makes the waters start swirling, and then gradually it brings those waters up. It brings the leaves up to the surface of the water. So that's the material world is designed for that, to actually, like, we're sunk here down, and we've fallen down from the spiritual world. We're sunk here in the material world, in the depths of darkness. But Krishna's time factor is like shaking things and making us wake up. And then in the next verse he says, O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the demigods who are now bereft of their heavenly position. So, yeah, like us too, we're bereft of our original constitutional position, and we're, homeless here in the material world, having left our home. And so, so the time factor churns up the leaves, they come to the top, and then Krishna is also like a boat. So we come to the surface. In other words, we manage to rise up through the modes of material nature. We come to the mode of goodness. Now we're at the surface. And then Krishna comes cruising along on a boat and is like, hey, now that you're up here, come on board. And then he carries us across the ocean of material existence. So, yeah, it made like that imagery in my mind.
Yeah.
That was helpful.
Thank you for churning the nectar. Gokulanda Prabhu would like to add more.
I was just pondering over this verse and I was thinking there could be so many lessons which could be drawn. Like Kashyapa Muni, he's a pure devotee, as appears from this verse, where he is transcendently situated and is fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can see, I was just pondering over the anomalies of this material world, how incompatible situation that one can get into. Even devotees, may not be immune to the dangerous factors of this world. Like on one hand we see he has Vamadev, none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, as his son. And on the other hand we have other extreme, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, the demons, right? And I was thinking I've just heard, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur also had many sons and a couple of them didn't turn out to be devotees. So one lesson could be drawn out of this is that sometimes devotees also may have to face this kind of situation where one child or few children may be devotees and one of them may not turn out to be. And the other thing I was contemplating was the seed. The seed is very powerful coming from the pure devotee, right? And the womb is also important, the land in which you plant the seed. So it's not that Diti's womb was corrupt, but it was the timing, right? So there are several other factors also matter a lot. Like the land, the seed has to be shown, like the farmer who is proficient in his business. He knows what is the right time, when there is monsoon season, especially talking about Indian kind of environment. So that timing is also important. So seed is important, but at the same time, the land, the womb is also important, but the timing. So there are many other multiple factors. It's not just one factor. And then I was thinking, although we talk about, right, when any sinful person who comes in contact with a pure devotee, right, the heart will be transformed. So we have the case where Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, like demons are born and his father is a pure devotee. Their father is pure devotee. But the association is not able to transform them. So then we see there is another factor which is the transcendental will of the Lord. So I'm just thinking there are so many factors in this world. We are like a puppet, that is the conclusion. It's not just our endeavors. Going back to your original discussion when you asked the question, it cannot be 100% based on our endeavors. There are several other multiple factors which are dependent.
Yeah.
Right, we are dependent on.
Thank you, Prabhu. It reminded me about Mother Rukmini, the mother of Gauravani Prabhu. Once she was mentioning her prayer every day was to Lord Chaitanya to make her son, spread the Krishna consciousness movement. I mean, as parents, that can be a really nice meditation for us. We have children. We can constantly, every day pray so that the Lordships engage our kids in their service. So that by mercy of Gaur Nidai, even Jagais and Madais can become saints. So that's our saving grace. Anything else? Mr. Bhagavan Prabhu, would you like to add, subtract, criticize, comment?
I was listening to Srila Prabhupada talk about on the Battle of Kurukshetra, everybody got liberated because they saw Krishna when they died. So, how is it that to go back to Godhead, you have to, there's like the hard way, starting with sadhana bhakti and working your way up the stairs, the nishta, ruchi, bhava, and prema. And then, but there also seems like special deals. Like Lord Chaitanya gave a dog some coconut, and the dog went back to Godhead. So, how do we get in on the special deals?
I guess you're already on the special deal. If we all follow you, I think. If we please Srila Prabhupada, I think it's possible. Please our spiritual masters, it's possible. There's that famous story, right? Please correct me if I'm not saying this right. Like once devotees were in a class, and then Srila Prabhupada said, you have to become 100% Krishna consciousness to go back to the spiritual world. And then devotees were like a little bit gloomy. And then Srila Prabhupada said, okay, 90%. And then still devotees were like, no. And then I think it came down to 70%, if I remember correctly. And then Srila Prabhupada said, don't worry, I have the key to the back door, so I'll take you. So if we just, like what Srila Prabhupada asked us to do, chant our 16 rounds every day, follow the 4 regulative principles, and then spread the Sankirtan movement, then by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we will get the special deal. Is that okay, Prabhu? Thank you. Okay, I think I will end here. We are 4 minutes over the scheduled time. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Jai.